Hi, everybody. We're going to get started, and this will serve as the audio check for Jenny, who I think just asked for it. Welcome to this month's Carterette series webinars. We're very happy to see you all here. This might be a record-breaking attendance for us. We're going to have to check our records, but I think it is. So this is just great. I'm Tessa Minshew from Georgia Perimeter College, and my fellow planning team members are Sarah Steiner from Georgia State University and Karen Vyers, also from GPC. As of this session, you may have noticed that the Carterette series webinars are expanding in scope to include notable national speakers in addition to our own homegrown Georgia talent. And as always, the series will continue to highlight trends, innovation, and best practices in libraries. Registration is going to remain free and open to anybody, anywhere. And I see somebody saying that they can't hear. Can somebody tell me if they can hear in the chat? Okay. Anybody who's having problems with the chat, please log out and log back in or try to run the audio setup wizard, and that should correct any of your problems. And we were about to get to that later on, but I'll just keep on going. As I was saying, registration is free, and we are committed to keeping it free, so we're really happy to have you all here. The topics are going to be chosen to be of interest to employees of all library types, and each session is approved for one Georgia Continuing Education Contact Hour. We are also on Facebook, so please look us up and like our page so you can keep up with details for future webinars. Before I introduce you to our speaker today, we're going to go over some of that technical stuff that I talked about. Let me switch to that slide there. If any of you are tweeting, our hashtag is Carterette. You should see it on the screen there. Please remember, the beautiful and talented moderators can see your chats, even if they're sent privately. And if at any point you lose audio, log out and log back in, or try to run that audio setup wizard, and you'll find it underneath Tools up at the top of your screen. Just click on Tools, Audio, and Audio Setup Wizard. That seems to fix a lot of the audio problems. Of course, if you don't have audio, I guess you wouldn't know that. So could somebody type that into the chat for me, please? Last thing, Michael, the daring man that he is going to do his entire presentation today in screen share. So please be patient if it takes just like a second to load, and you may not see the full screen on your monitors, but you will have a little scroll bar at the bottom that lets you scroll back and forth. So if there's something over on the right-hand side you want to see, you can just scroll back and forth there. So that's about it. Let's get started here. I'm going to introduce you to Michael. This is him with his Darth Vader tie, which I absolutely love. Michael is currently the Technology Innovation Librarian for the Nebraska Library Commission in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he has been training librarians in technology for more than 15 years. He's also been a public library trustee, a bookstore manager for a Library Friends Group, a reference librarian, a serials cataloger, a technology consultant, and a bookseller. Michael's 10th book, Blogging and RSS, A Librarian's Guide, 2nd edition, was published in October 2010, and he's also written dozens of articles for various journals and magazines. In his spare time, and I don't know when he has that, but he claims he has spare time, and when he does, he blogs at travelinglibrarian.info, and he runs websites for authors and historical societies. He's the past chair of the Nebraska Library Association's Information Technology and Access Roundtable, and he takes many, many photos and reads more than 100 books per year. So take it away, Michael.
All right. Thank you very much for the invitation and allowing me to speak to all of you today. Let me go ahead and share my browser here, which all of you should be seeing momentarily. Today we're here to talk about Google+, and this will be kind of the second official talk that I've given about Google+. I gave the first one about, I think it was about 8 weeks ago on our Encompass Live webinar series that we do here in Nebraska, and I'm starting to think that about the half-life on information about Google+ right now is about 8 weeks, because I was thinking about what it was I said during that first one and what I'm kind of planning on saying today, and I would say at least half of what I said 8 weeks ago is still about accurate, and so Things are changing. Some new features got added just last week. In fact, I have an email in my inbox that I haven't had a chance to get to about some new features that were announced today. So I'm going to kind of do my best to take you through a tour of Google Plus and give you an idea of how you and or your library might actually use it. Google Plus is Google's third attempt at a social network. There was Google Wave and there was Google Buzz. Wave has been completely discontinued. Google Buzz is going away very shortly, or pretty much any day now. And so what we're kind of hoping here with Google is that the third time is the charm. Now, it's only been around about 10, 12 weeks. It's still really new. As I've kind of said already, there's always a lot of changes going on, so please bear with me. As I show you things come tomorrow, things might have actually changed. Now, originally Google Plus was invitation only. Now, anybody with a Google account can get into Google Plus, so I'm going to go ahead and log into my account here. That way you can see kind of the whole experience. Make sure I type in my password right on the first try. It looks like I've done that. For those of you who can see the whole screen, you basically, what we're looking at is mostly a 3-column output here. And there's Jen already talking about the class that we're doing here right now. There's a black bar across the top. This is the kind of the Google's toolbar built into their website. If you're using any of Google's services, this should be something that you're familiar with now. You can get to, say, Gmail, the calendar, documents, that sort of thing here. Below that, since we are in Google Plus right now, we kind of have the main toolbar specific to Google Plus, including searching. And in fact, searching wasn't available 8 weeks ago when I first presented about this, so already that's something that's changed. The main screen is kind of split into 3 columns, and this is where your left, right, horizontal might need to be used just a little bit. The left-hand column here starts out with my profile name and picture and how many pages I control, and we will definitely talk about pages. What streams and sparks I have available to me, also games, we'll get to those. My stream is down the middle here, and then over to the right, and if you can't see the right-hand column, you may need to scroll right in your viewer. You'll see pictures of people in my circles, suggested people, invitations, which, as I mentioned, aren't necessary anymore, and Hangouts. We'll talk about Hangouts also. As I've already said, Google Plus is Google's attempt at a social network. I'm going to try not to compare it to Twitter or compare it to Facebook or compare it to anything else. I'm going to try to stay focused on specifically how Google Plus works, but I may slip every once in a while and compare it to one of the two. The central thing behind Google Plus that kind of differentiates it from all of the other services out there is how you can organize the people you are following and that the people are following you. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to first, instead of kind of taking you through what you're seeing here, other than that brief overview, is talk about what Google calls their circles. Okay? So when you sign up for an account, you do get a profile. We'll look at my profile in a little bit, and I can find people via the search. Somebody might have a link to their profile on their website, and then what I can do is decide to follow people, and when I follow someone, whatever they post publicly or to me or a group that I belong to, it will show up here in my stream. But where this is organized is up here in the circles. Okay, so Google calls kind of how you organize the people that you are following. You organize them into circles. Okay? And this is probably kind of the first hurdle you need to get over in understanding how this works to kind of really take advantage of Google Plus as a social network. Okay? So right here, kind of across the top, you can see a bunch of people that I am currently following, and right now that is an actual total of 228 people. Okay? Here's my wife. Here's a friend of mine who's actually not using Google Plus much, so you'll see that there's no picture of her. Here's Krista Burns. She is a coworker here of mine at the Library Commission. And down at the bottom half of the screen here are my circles. Okay. Now, some of these circles are going to make a little more sense than others. We'll ignore this one called bookmarks here, and we'll kind of come back to that. For example, I have a circle called Librarian Peeps, and as you notice, as I hover over this, kind of that circle will expand. It's showing me that I have 146 members there, and it's showing me pictures of the people I'm following that are in that circle. Okay. I have another circle for people I follow that are Doctor Who fans, and so I put them in a Whovians category. And friends of mine that I'm following that are horror lovers, so I have a horror category. Now, let's say, for example, that Krista up here, I've just kind of found out she actually really enjoys horror movies and horror novels. Okay, now she's actually in my Librarian Peeps circle. She's in a circle I've called coworkers. She's in a circle I've called Nebraskans. And if I want to add her to the horror group, I kind of just drag and drop her onto that circle. Okay? So if, I don't know how well that animation transferred, but I basically just dragged and dropped Krista onto the horror circle, and you will see that I have now 6 people in that group. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this is that when I started following Krista originally, I'll use her as my example, she was notified that I have added her to one of my circles. Okay? And as you can see here, I can actually bring up a list of people who have added me to one of their circles, 627 in this case. Okay? Here's the catch, and here's where some of the kind of the privacy things that Google is doing come to play. Krista does not know the name of the circle or circles that I have put her in. So, I know Krista, so, she can probably assume that she's in my coworker circle, and she's probably in my librarian circle, and she's probably in my Nebraska circle. But maybe I have a circle called people I personally find annoying but say really interesting things. Okay? We all know a couple people like that, I'm sure. You can create a circle for those sorts of people. Okay? I know who's put me in a circle. I can pull that up by people who have added me, but I don't know what circle they have put me in. Now, I can make a circle public if I want to, but it is not required. Okay? Circles are private by default. So you find people through Google+, you organize them into circles, and you can organize them however you wish. If somebody adds me to a circle, I get a notification saying that they've started following me, but I am under no obligation to follow them back. Okay? Some people follow everybody back. I don't. As you can see here, I'm following 228 people. 627 people are following me. There's no way I could actually keep up with all of those people. Okay? Now, how do those circles affect what information you receive and or send in Google+ in the main stream? Okay? So I'm going to go back to home here, and I'm going to see my stream. And you'll notice it just updated. Somebody who is in one of my circles, Leo Laporte, some of you may know who he is, a very popular online broadcaster, just posted something new. Let's talk about the incoming information first. Right off the top, anybody who I am following, who is in one of my circles, who posts something publicly will appear in my stream, newest thing at the top. Okay, kind of like most other social networks work. As you see over here on the left, I also have a list of streams that match up with my list of circles. So here's my Librarian Peeps circle, here's my Whovian circle, here's my horror circle. And what I can do is I can narrow this down and I can say, hey, just show me only the stuff that is posted or has been posted by people in my Librarian Peeps circle. Okay? So I can now focus what I'm reading by organizing my circles. Okay? That's one way you can look at how circles are used by the fact that things are coming in. Quick question coming through from Heidi, can I read more than one stream at once? Well, you can read all the streams by clicking on home, or you can read an individual stream by selecting it. So I can't, for example, I can't read Librarian Peeps and Whovians at the same time unless I say created a new circle that contains everybody that's in my Librarian Peeps and my Whovians. I mean, you can kind of get meta like that if you'd like, but it's generally focused on all of them or a particular one at the same time. Now, let's think about this the other way when it comes to sending out information. One of the things I want to point out is here Heidi has posted something, and she posted it 229 to public. That means she wrote a new post and shared it with everybody who's following her. Okay? And in fact, anybody who wants to look at her profile, even if they're not following her. However, if we look down here, and I think this is kind of a safe one to show, Jen's share from 221 is shared with a limited group of people. And if I click on that, what it can say here is actually what she's done is she shared it with just herself and me. Okay? Let me show you another example here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share something new. And what I'm going to say here is I can't type and speak at the same time, so bear with me here. Google Plus, please give a shout out. Okay, now I can do several things here. I've written a post. I can add photographs. We'll take a look at photos in a few minutes. I can add a YouTube video. I can add a hyperlink to an article. For example, if you look at Heidi's share here, she linked to an article. I can also also add my location. Okay. Then it says, who do you want to share this with? Okay. Right now, I am just sharing it with my Librarian Peeps circle, and only those people will see it. Okay. I can delete that, and I can click this, and I can say, okay, do I want to share it with a particular circle? Do I want to share it with multiple circles? Do I want to share it only with people in my circles? Do I want to share it with my extended circles? This one means everybody in one of my circles and then everybody in their circles. So it's kind of 2 stages out. I can make it completely public, or it gives me some kind of common public/circle combinations that I've used in the past. I'm going to go ahead and make this one public. That means anybody in my circles, anybody in their circles, anybody on Google Plus at all can see this. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and say share that. And it was supposed to show up right here. Okay, I'm going to refresh my page here because that should have shown up right at the top. Okay, already. Welcome to Working Without a Net. Let's try that one more time. Oh, you guys got it? Okay, somebody got it. So we're going to assume it's there. I did click share. Lovely. Okay, so what should happen at the, oh, thank you, Peter. He's pointing out that I'm only looking at my Librarian Peeps stream, so what I need to do is go back home. Haha, and there's my share, and already several things have happened. I can tell a lot of you are already on Google+. Okay. When you get a new item in your post, you can +1 it. You can leave a comment, as Elizabeth and Leslie have already done. You can reshare it. And actually, the share on is something most of you won't see because this is actually a plugin I've added to my copy of Google Chrome that gives me that feature. So just go ahead and ignore that. Now, as new things come into my stream, this is going to start to move down. So let's say an hour from now, somebody leaves a comment on this post. Well, one of the other things that's going to help when you start getting into Google Plus and the conversations start happening is if you look right here kind of on that black bar at the top of my screen, and also because I'm using Chrome and I've added a plugin, I've got it in my actual toolbar, is these are the notifications that are coming in. I have 8 notifications. There's Josh, of course. Okay, and lots of things are happening here. If I click on my notifications, this little window is going to pop up, and it's going to tell me what's been happening in my stream lately. For example, Susan commented on a post, Gwen and Roberto reshared it, Betsy and Liz commented on a post of mine, somebody +1 my post. A +1 is kind of, and here I'm going to do it, kind of like a Facebook like, basically. Okay. Eventually, I think there's going to be starting to be more and more implications with Google searching for people that have plussed things, but we'll right now just kind of equate it to a Facebook like. And so here it's telling me that some people have added me to my circles. In this case, well, I wonder what Betsy said about this particular post, so I can open that up. Here's something I posted earlier today. Told you I was a Doctor Who fan. I now want to paint my refrigerator like a TARDIS. And somebody has commented on it, in this case, shared another link with me. And I can now kind of page through these updates here. Okay, and notice now this is reset to 0, and as we continue on and people start commenting and plussing what I'm doing, you'll see that number kind of automatically update itself. Now, back over to the stream here on the left just a little bit. I want to show you a couple more things. There's my circles, and if I click on more, I'll see the rest of the circles. But there's two other kind of special streams that are available to you, incoming and notifications. Notifications is pretty much just the same thing we were looking at where that red 1 in the upper right-hand corner of my screen is for right now. So if I was to click on the notification streams, this is just yet another way of looking at those notifications that are coming in, because really that red number does actually stop at 10. Okay. The other one, which I find a little more interesting, is this incoming. Okay. The incoming stream are posts by people who have me in one of their circles, but I am not following them. Okay, so at some point, Robin Ashford here has started following me. She added me to one of her circles. I don't know Robin, so I'm not going to immediately follow her back. But I can look at my incoming stream every couple of days and say, you know, Robin seems to be posting some interesting stuff. Maybe I do want to add her to one of my circles. Maybe I do want to actually start following her. Because she says lots of interesting things. And Florence in our chat room knows Robin. So let me know if I should follow her. I haven't had a chance to look at my incoming stream in a while. So incoming is kind of a very interesting thing to say, hey, people who are following you, what are they saying, without actually populating the mainstream of people that you are actively following. Okay. So that's kind of your stream, and I mean, I could literally talk probably for another half an hour just on how the stream works. Okay. For example, let me just show you something real quick here. Let's say I'm going to go ahead and do a quick Google search for libraries in the news. Okay. And here's a website called ilovelibraries.org, and I'm thinking, this looks interesting. Give that a second to come on up here. And looks good. This is something I'd like to share on my list, or excuse me, to my stream. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this URL here. I'm not going to copy all that specialized stuff. Switch back to Google+, and go ahead and go home. And in this case, I'm going to say something like, interesting site to check out. And then in this case, I mentioned this earlier, I'm going to add a link. Let me go ahead and paste that in and click Add. And what this is going to do is it's going to pull in the title of the site, a brief description of the site, which is usually about the first 20 or 30 words from the site. It really kind of depends. It's going to generally try to pull in an image. I can usually change this image because there might be different images on the site I could pick from. I could actually remove the image. I can remove the description if I want. So instead of just posting a URL like you would on Twitter, you're actually kind of including some information here. I'm going to make this public, and I'm going to go ahead and click Share, and then there's my new post. Okay? People can leave comments, +1s, etc. Excuse me. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of hiding there underneath my stream. It starts with what's hot, Occupy Lincoln, Smart Car, Google Plus Tips, Doctor Who, WordPress, and more. These are called Sparks. And the way you can think of Sparks is saved searches. Okay? So what I did at some point was I searched in Google Plus for Smart Car because I'm a Smart Car owner. And it said, okay, would you like to save this search? And I said, sure, yes, I would. So now what I can do is I can click on this Smart Car, and you can see that there is now a stream available to me here of posts that have mentioned smart cars. Okay? Now, this has changed since I last spoke about it, because what we now have here are some pages that are available to me, and I'm going to get to pages in a few minutes. Okay, I want to kind of stick to posts by individuals for right now. Okay, and you can now see up in the search box up at the top here, here's Smart Car. So let's try a different one here, and I'm going to try searching for OWS. okay, and for Occupy Wall Street. So I'm now looking for things that mention OWS. And there are a bunch of pages available to me. There are some choices here. Here's a post from Will Wheaton and some other posts down below that. So what I can do is I can go ahead and save this search. And you will see here I now have an OWS Spark over here on the left-hand side. Now, what's fun is I actually haven't seen the word Spark used by Google Plus in a couple of weeks, so they might just be calling them searches now. But when Google Plus did first open up, they were called Sparks. So until I hear otherwise, I'm going to call them Sparks. This what's hot is just kind of Google going through and saying, here are things that are being said on Google Plus that are getting a lot of pluses, a lot of reshares, and a lot of comments. For example, Matt Cutts, I believe he is actually one of the people who handles search quality at Google. Correct me if I'm wrong. So this is something that has been plussed 496 times. It's been reshared 501 times, and it has 104 comments on it. So that would be one thing that would be, considered a hot item at this point. Robin, you had a quick question. How do you save that search again? Let me go ahead and just do another search here real quick. We'll search for libraries. Okay, and actually I already have a Spark called libraries, so let's try another one. Librarians. And I also have one called librarians. Oh shoot. Georgia. I don't have a Spark called Georgia. Okay, and then right here, kind of under that search box to the upper right, is a Save This Search button. And that will add it to my Sparks list over on the left. Okay, so I'm going to go back home here. Yeah, see, you're going to learn all sorts of stuff about me here just by watching my Google+. Okay, so that is your stream. That is Sparks. Are the posts under What's Hot from anyone on Google+? As far as I can tell, it's from anyone that has posted something that is public. Okay, so if you have shared it with a particular circle, it can't show up as a hot thing. It needs to be as public. And yeah, anybody who shares something public that gets a lot of traffic, they're going to go ahead and possibly show up in the What's Hot Spark. Okay. All right, let's talk about photos. Now this one's going to get a little more interesting because of the screen share, so I'm going to try to not change my screen nearly as much because we're definitely going to be very graphical here. I'm going to go ahead and go into photos. And photos have been really highly rated in Google Plus from photographers online. I'm a photographer. I'm pretty well wedded to Flickr. I've got like 30,000 photos in my Flickr account or something like that. So I haven't played with Google Plus's photos a lot, but I have used it in a few very interesting ways. Okay. As you can see here over on the left, I am now looking at photos from my circles. So these are photos that have been uploaded into Google Plus and shared with people that shared by people that I'm following. Okay. We then also have photos from your phone, photos of you, photos from your posts, and your albums. Okay. So let me kind of talk about these, but I'm going to not take them in that order because some of them to some people are a little more creepy than others, so we'll come back to that. So photos from your circles. Here are just some interesting photos recently shared by people. I'm sure Josh won't mention if I look at this. And this is one of the things that photographers who are using Google Plus really like is kind of this Lightbox feature as to how the photos are displayed kind of on the black background. You can see here that we have kind of a slideshow view. We can work through the photos. We have left and right or previous and next photo arrows to each side of the photo. I can +1 this photo if I like it. I can tag someone in it. I can share it. I can get some different options depending upon how this person has shared it, or those options, if it was my photo, would be a little different. For example, I can't delete Josh's photo, but if it was my photo, I could. And then you also have the ability to leave a comment here over on the right and kind of have a conversation around the photo itself. Okay? So it's this really nice kind of photo sharing interface. If I go back here to, now I'm at Photos from My Circle, I've closed that one out. Photos from your phone. This is the one that kind of creeps some people out. I've installed the Google Plus app on my Motorola Android Bionic phone. Okay? And this is a feature that you can turn on or off as you are or are not comfortable with it. But what I've done is every single photo that I take on my phone automatically gets backed up to Google Plus here under Photos from My Phone. And by default, these photos are private. So unless I specifically share them with a circle or make them public, they're just here and they're only for me to see. Or if I say, show them like I'm showing now. Some people are a little kind of creeped out about that one, where you're automatically sending every photo you take on your phone to Google. But to be honest, I kind of use it as a backup. Most of the photos I take on my phone, I end up sending to Flickr because, like I said, that's where I do most of my photography stuff online. But now I have this nice, wonderful backup of every photo I've taken on my phone right here in Google+, and I can't, if I want to, I can delete them and I can download them. Okay. The next section is Photos of You. These are photos that have been taken by other people where they have tagged me in the photo. So you can see there's only been 2 of them so far. One of which I took myself, and I tagged myself in it, and one taken here by Michael Dempsey, and that's me kind of lounging in the orange back there at conference. And then any photos that I may have used in a post or something I've shared on Google+, those are going to show up here. So it's like, it's a nice little way of saying, hey, these are all the photos you've kind of made public that you've shared with other people, and what date you put them on, and if you shared them in a group or not. You notice I generally kind of share one photo at a time. Yep, I'm a Muppets fan too. And then you can organize your photos into albums. This is something I've not done a lot of work in. So you can see here's my photos from posts, here's profile photos, here's some screenshots. I take a lot of photos of custom license plates. I took photos from my phone at Internet Librarian, so I've kind of organized those. So some people have done a real lot of work here organizing their photos using the albums, but I have not done all that much. Kind of most of what's here just kind of happened that way, got put together a little more automatically, that sort of thing. So you can also then just simply upload a new photo. If you upload it, you can choose what album to put it into. You can choose how to share it. You can just completely make it private. It says, upload new photo, browse for a photo on your computer, and then do an upload. Pretty much similar to any other uploading of photos that you may have done in any other system. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at my profile. We haven't talked about profiles yet. Your profile is, your profile. You're going to have a general photo, kind of the official one that goes along with every single thing you post. You can add some additional photos of yourself across the top here, or avatars as you see fit. Right now, this is kind of the public profile that is out there. You can choose as much or as little information as you want. Now, some of you may have been hearing the stories over the last 10 to 12 weeks. As we speak, as we speak, Google does require you to pretty much use your real name or the name that you commonly go by. They do not accept pseudonyms. They are starting to roll out a feature that allows you to kind of use other names, but your real name does need to be in there. This is kind of developing, so if I'm sounding a little hedgy, that's because it's changing somewhat regularly. Sam and Rusty had some issues with Facebook, but that's a very close kind of very similar story to what's going on with Google+. Quick question, can you make your profile private? Not really. By creating the profile in Google+, you are making it public, but there's not a lot of information that you are required to contribute. You do have to have a name, and you do have to have a gender, although I believe originally it was just male or female. Now I think it's male, female, or other. Okay. So, you can, your profile can't be private, but it doesn't have to include a lot of information. Okay. In fact, I'm probably not the best example. I include pretty much everything. I live a lot in public. And Dana, I see your question real quick here. I used to use Hootsuite, but I think I saw an article yesterday that said Hootsuite is now supporting Google+. But you'd have to check with them. I'm not 100% sure on that. So as you can see here on my profile, I've got employment and occupation and links to my other profiles and blogs I post on and links I recommend. And so there is all sorts of things here that I've included that you do not necessarily have to include. From here you can send me a message. You can also send me an email. Again, we're in the profile here, so everything you see here is stuff I've chosen to make public. Photos that I've made public, videos that I've made public, which I have not actually uploaded any videos into Google+, items that I've +1'd. And at the moment there still is a connection to Google Buzz, but as I mentioned, Google Buzz is going away, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. If I want to edit my profile, there's this blue button here labeled Edit Profile. And basically, I was on my Buzz tab. If I want to change my About, I just go to About, and now I can click on the different areas to edit. Okay, so if I want to re-edit my introduction, I just click on Introduction here and change it. I can choose who sees it. Oh, okay, so back to the person who asked about public. See half-life on this information. Who can see this information? Okay, so I can include a biography of myself, but I could say it's only shared with just myself. There's your private profile. Or just people I've put in my circles. Or just people in extended circles, or anyone on the web. I've left it to anyone on the web, so that would be the equivalent of public. See, I haven't edited my profile in about a week, so they must have added that very recently. Okay. Tells me I'm editing at the moment. When I'm all done editing, I go ahead and click Done Editing, and that goes away. And I'm back to viewing it as I would or anybody else would. There is one other area up here. I will go ahead and just open that up real quick. But there are games. And yes, you can play Angry Birds in Google+. And if you do play games, you can choose to share your scores and compete against the people in your circles. And I realize this video here is probably not a lot what we want to be watching here, but if we could scroll on down, we notice Josh has been playing some games lately, and so we'll go ahead and assume he's not doing that on work time, and then I'll go back home. I know Josh. I'm sure Josh would appreciate this. Okay. Few other things I want to show you, and then we're going to talk about pages, and then that should probably leave us about 10 minutes for Q&A. I notice a lot of questions have been going by, so I've caught the ones I can. The black bar, notice, clicking on Documents will take you to Google Docs. Clicking on Calendar will take you to Google Calendar. Right now I'm on Google+, so my plus Michael there is up there at the top. That's the name I'm logged in under. Here is my notifications. This black bar share, allows you to share what you're currently looking at. Right now it's kind of meta. I would be sharing Google Plus to Google Plus, but if I was, for example, in Google Reader, and I'm looking at a particular article in Google Reader and I want to share it, I would click this share button up here at the top, and that would allow me to share the particular item from Google Reader to Google Plus. My avatar is up here, and if I click on that, it will bring up my basic profile information, allowing me to change my Google account settings in this case. So my Google profile, Google Plus information, my account settings in general, and the privacy options, and also sign out of my Google account if I would like to. The gear, This allows you to get to the settings for the particular service that you're on. So in this case, Google Plus settings, Google Plus help, send feedback. If I was on Gmail, it would be Gmail settings. If I was on Calendar, it would be the Google Calendar settings. So kind of the black bar is sort of the cross Google service, but custom to a particular Google service settings and options. All right. Excuse me, I just had to cough there for a moment. Now, as of last week, so I'm still getting a hang of this stuff myself, Google has given you the ability to create what are called Google Plus pages. When Google originally came out with Google Plus, they said, please, individuals only. Google Plus right now is for people, not organizations and not brands. Okay? They said it's coming. Well, last week it happened. Okay? And one of the ways you can see this is if you look at my name over here in the upper left, there's my icon, there's my name, Michael. Under that it says 2 pages. And if I click on that down arrow, you'll now see a list of 3 things. You, or me in this case, Nebraska Library Commission, and the Collector's Guide to Dean Koontz. So I have an account for me, and then 2 pages, one for the commission and one for a project that I'm working on. And from here I can manage those pages, or I can switch to being one of those pages. You'll see how you is in red right now. That means I'm acting as myself. If I switch to Nebraska Library Commission, now, and this gray bar across the top tells me I'm now using Google Plus as the Nebraska Library Commission. And Stephanie, I'll show you how to create a page in just a few minutes. So if I wanted to switch to the book project I'm working on, the Collector's Guide to Dean Koontz, I can now switch to that page and post things as that brand or that project in this case. Okay? You'll also know that the stream over on the left has changed significantly. There's following, there's customers, there's VIPs, there's team members, okay, which are customizable. You can create circles as you know, your own circles for these particular projects or brands, okay? But you cannot follow somebody else as a brand, as a page, unless they have first added you to a circle. So let me give you a better example. Pepsi has a Google Plus page. Pepsi cannot follow me unless I specifically add them to a circle first. Okay? So I will not see anything from Pepsi unless I either go to their page and look at just their stuff or add them to one of my circles and therefore see them in my stream. Okay? So people are still getting the hang of this. If you've got questions about, you know, how these pages work, I'll do my best to answer them, but these things came out on like Wednesday or Thursday of last week. So they are really new. Okay? How do I create a page? Let me go back to being me. There was the manage pages, but also if you look over to the right-hand column, and I need to scroll down just a little bit, under Hangouts, which will be the last thing I'm going to talk about, it says Google Plus Pages, and there's a link labeled Create a Google Plus Page. I click on that link, and it says, okay, are you a local business or place? Are you a product or brand? Are you an institution or company, arts, entertainment, or sports, or others? And it will walk you through the process. Now, some of the downsides right now with pages. Okay, one very specific one I want to mention. I created a page for the Nebraska Library Commission. At the moment, I am the only person who can use that page and post to it. Okay. Eventually, they will add features. So, for example, I could post to it, and Krista could post to it through her account, and Susan, another coworker of ours, could post to it through her account, and Emily could post to it through her account. But right now, one person can create a page for something, and only that one person can have control of it. You do not have the ability, for example, with Facebook pages where you can have multiple administrators of a page. That's coming. Right now, you can only have one person. Okay, I'm going to go back home here, and I specifically want to talk about one other thing, and I can really only talk about it, mainly because you need a plugin, so I don't have that plugin installed on this PC, and with the screen share, I really don't think it'll work all that well, and that's called Hangouts. And you would get to it kind of in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen here. It says Start a Hangout. Hangouts are video chat through Google+. You can create public Hangouts. You can create Hangouts with a specific circle of people. You can create Hangouts by inviting particular people. A Hangout can have up to 10 people in it at once. And what's really cool about it is that it's intelligent enough to know who's speaking right now. So what you see across the bottom of the screen are the webcam images of all the people that are participating in the Hangout. But then kind of top center, you see a bigger webcam video of the person who's currently speaking. It is cool. Okay, I mean, I can't stress this enough. I'm trying to figure out how we can use this. Famous people, the one I can think of right now, Michael Dell, did a public hangout. The guy, Dell Computer, okay, Michael Dell did a public hangout where anybody could do a video chat with him and ask him questions about Dell computers or computers in general. About 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was just last week, the Muppets did a G+ hangout, and you were able to talk to the Muppets. So and for those of you, I'm not showing a hangout right now because A, for technological reasons, I can't on this computer, and B, that I don't think the video inside the screen share would pretty much kill any bandwidth for the screen share that we're using right now. So Hangouts, I really suggest try those out. Create a librarian's hangout, or just do one public. I mean, that I think would be really cool. Just randomly see who shows up and start talking to people and make new friends. All right, so that was Google Plus in about 45 minutes. There's a few other things I could show you, but I know a lot of questions have been going by. And I want to make sure I leave enough time to answer as many of those as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my mic back off, and I think you've got some questions for me.
Yeah, we can go ahead and swap out, and I'll just read them for you. Holly asked, does the same message appear under different streams if someone is in more than one of your circles?
Yes. So, for example, if I'll use Krista again as an example, if she posts something publicly, I will see that in my main stream. But if I go to view just my Nebraskans stream, since she's in that, I will also see that message there. And if I was to view my coworkers stream, I would also see that message there. To qualify that just a little bit, if Krista posts a message just to coworkers, her coworkers, and I'm in her coworkers circle, I will only see that because I'm in her circle, but not necessarily in and it would, forget I tried to qualify that. The simple answer is yes.
It gets complicated quickly. Somebody asked how much front-end time did it take to set this up? They said that they invested in Facebook, but this looks time-consuming.
I guess the simple answer is it kind of depends on how much time you want to put into it. I pretty much, when it came out, I'm one of those people that have never really been a fan of Facebook. I think Facebook has had way too many issues over the years. I have a presence on Facebook, so I was really ready to kind of dive into something else. And since I pretty much live in all the other Google services anyways, it wasn't too much trouble. So personally getting it set up for my own personal account, I mean, because I was also trying to learn it, I played with it for about an afternoon and got a pretty good hang of it. As for the pages aspect of it, right now, it's so early in that process. I think a lot of the pages that are being created are placeholders more than anything else. And say, for example, the commission, I got that set up in about 10 minutes, and now I just watch our blog, and if somebody posts something to the blog, I cross-post it to the Google Plus page, and it's kind of out there as to what we're going to do with it. I just wanted to make sure it was created before somebody created it for me.
Great, thank you. Heidi asked, how is the Your Circles feature different from selecting a circle?
Okay, if I don't answer this correctly, please correct me. If, for example, I look at, if I click Librarian Peeps here, I will see the stream of posts from the people in my Librarian Peeps circle. If I click on the Circles button up at the top, this gets me into the interface where I can control who's in what circles and what circle exists. If that was your question, that's my answer. If not, please re-ask your question. Was there a next question?
Yeah, I was thinking Heidi might put it in again, but I'll go ahead and proceed. Do sparks or searches populate to share easily with a given circle?
Okay, let's see. Okay, for example, sparks and circles don't really work directly. For example, and again, if I'm misunderstanding the question, please question or elaborate. If I go into, say, the smart car circle here, and I see that, hey, Dane Cook just bought a smart car, if I want to share what I've just found through this search, I can say I want to share this, and then who do I want to share it with? I can add my comments here. I can choose who to share it with and then go ahead and click share. So I can choose to share this with a particular circle. But the searches, these sparks, they look like circles by controlling what's in your stream, but they are not directly connected to your circles at all. And I see an awesome thanks, so I think I answered that one right.
Thank you. Somebody asked, it was Pat Z, she asked if you could delete them. I'm not sure though if she was talking about your circles or your pages.
You can delete circles, you can delete pages, you can also delete and edit things you have shared, which I forgot to show real quick here. If I went to the circle screen, there is a way to delete a circle. You actually drag it into a trash can. There is a way to delete a spark. I think you actually have to go to that page, and then there's a delete option. Here is this post I wrote earlier. It might be hard to see, but there's kind of a gray down triangle. From here, you can edit, delete, link to this post, disable comments, lock this post, which allows you to post something but then turn off commenting. And then ripples has to do with kind of statistical analysis of pluses and shares on a particular thing, which is, again, one of those newer features that I have not had a lot of chance to play with.
Okay. Holly asks, are the posts under What's Hot from anyone who's on Google+, presumably as opposed to just people who are in your circle?
Yeah, What's Hot is populated by public posts from anyone who's posted something publicly. So, in fact, I know Matt Cutts, the one example that I showed, is not in one of my circles. So a What's Hot post could be from anybody as long as it was a public post to begin with. If you share something with a particular circle or a group of circles, then it should not, and probably will not, appear in What's Hot.
Can you tell us anything about how Google Plus works for Google Apps users?
to be completely 100% honest, no. I have zero experience with Google Apps, so I need to pass on that question. Sorry.
I think that's a fair answer. Stephanie asks, do you think Google Plus is here to stay?
Oh, I don't know. I hope so. I like it. You read these articles about, 50 million people signed up, but now nobody's using it. I really think it's going to, because Google is working really hard to integrate it into all of its other services. Buzz was kind of cool, but really sat on its own. Google Wave was cool, but was really complicated and I think was way too out of left field for most people to even wrap their head around. But the way Google is starting to consider +1s in search results, just the fact that they took away the plus operator for the search because plus now means something in Google Plus. My plus username is plus Michael Sauers. They're really starting to pull all of these services together, make them very social, and really tie them into this Google Plus service. I think at this point it's going to stay around just because Google has completely committed to it. Will it become as popular as Facebook? Will people move off of Facebook to this? I'm not necessarily saying that, but I don't think it's going to disappear in 6 months. I think it is going to be around for quite a while.
I have a question that says, from Marianne, is Google Plus just another SNS, or is there a substantial value of using it over Facebook or other similar social media? And there was some lively conversation about it over in the chat area, but I thought you might like to comment on it also.
Oh boy. I hesitate to go there, if only because I kind of talked a little bit about, I was not a big Facebook fan because of the problems, but to a certain extent, it's the same conversation as, well, is Facebook better or is Twitter better? Well, they kind of each do their own particular things, and not being nearly as familiar with Facebook as a lot of people, I will readily admit, I can't really compare them feature to feature to say things are better. Anything you put into Google Plus, you can get back out through what's called the Data Liberation Front. So Google is really well committed to that. I do understand, however, a lot of the comparisons that are made between Facebook and Google Plus. So I personally, I prefer Google Plus, but I can't really say if it's better or is going to replace Facebook. I mean, I will admit, 500 million people using Facebook. I'm not going to get my mother to move to Google Plus tomorrow. I'm not going to get my father to move to Google Plus tomorrow. So they're still on Facebook. I'm still going to be on Facebook.
Okay. Hannah asks, what about Orchid? Is that going away?
I have not heard word one about Orchid going away. Orchid's very big in South America, as I understand it, and is owned by Google. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I have not. Great question, but no idea.
And Kate asks, when you're making new pages, how do they verify that you're the person who should be able to create the page for a given organization?
Oh, right now they don't. That's one of the biggest complaints at the moment. And in fact, multiple people can create multiple pages around the same concept. This is a major criticism right now. There's been big stories about there's the official and the unofficial Bank of America pages. I'll let you guess which one has more followers. So at the moment, that is one of the other things that I'm sure they're working on to tighten it down. That being said, if you look at some of the super big ones like Pepsi, in fact, I'll try to bring that up here. They do have kind of a verified name thing here. So if you see right next to Pepsi, I've hovered over verified name. So they are working on it. There will be some sort of way to verify, but right now there isn't. So you can, yeah, as Tim's just said, you can report a page as fake, but there is no upfront verification of you are the person who's okay to create this right now.
I think that's all the time we have questions for, so Tessa's going to go ahead and close out the session. Thanks very much to everybody for their questions.
Michael, can you close your screen share? I think you're the only person who can close. Excellent, and we're back to Michael with his fabulous tie. Thank you all so much for your attendance today. We're sorry that we didn't get to all of your questions because there were some really good ones in there. If you would like to email us with those questions, let me put up a slide with our email addresses here. There we go. Down at the bottom of that slide, you'll see all of our email addresses, and you can forward your questions to any one of us, and we'll try to figure them out for you, or we'll get Michael to answer them for us, and hopefully we'll get everything addressed. We hope you enjoyed today's session as much as we did. And on this closing slide, you're also going to see the URL for the assessment for today's webinars, and we're going to be sending you this in an email as well. We would love for you to take this assessment. We really want your feedback, and we hope you'll take time to complete it. If you have an idea for a topic or presenter for future webinars, please let us know. As I mentioned at the beginning of the session, we've opened it up to national speakers, so it doesn't have to be somebody from Georgia. Just drop us an email. And I think that that's about it. Oh, on the initial slide, we made a little mistake about the continuing education certificate for the people who are in Georgia. We said that we'd show you that URL at the end of the session, but that was an old slide that we have got to correct immediately. We're going to be sending that URL out in an email that will be getting out to y'all probably tomorrow or the next day. So I guess that's about it. Thank you all so much, and thank you very much, Michael, for being our first national speaker.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.